Hey friends, Mike here from Outreach Radio Chicago and Mercado Airwaves. I am so excited to let you in on a new service we are providing. If you or someone you know has an upstart or established business and company and would like to do some marketing on various platforms, you can do that right now by becoming an official sponsor and power all our interviews with athletes and celebrities. We assure quality audio in the beginning and ending of our interviews that will spotlight your amazing business and help bring in as much traffic as possible to all your outlets. From award-winning celebrities, Sundance Film Darling director David Farrier joins us.
Appreciate you having me on the show.
To world champion athletes, UFC bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz. Dominic, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
We promise you the absolute best from the entire staff of Mercado Airwaves. For more information, visit us on patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Subscribe to us on youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. Like the radio show page on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. And visit the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com. Thank you for listening and all the support. What is going on, friends, and welcome into a cool new project that we are working on. Basically, we are scrounging through the internet and we are answering different questions that we see that we find interesting, that we think you guys might find interesting. You can actually ask us anything. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. We're on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. Subscribe to us on YouTube, youtube.com/MikeMercado2333. We're on Patreon, patreon.com/Mercado Airwaves. You can like us on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. And don't forget to visit the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com. This is a new thing that we're trying out. Hopefully you guys like it. Hopefully it goes smooth. So let's get this thing going. All right, one of the first things I see here, Anthony Shannon 2. Would you rather see Tom Hardy as James Bond or as Wolverine? That's a good one. For anybody who doesn't know, Hugh Jackman, who plays Wolverine in the X-Men and Wolverine films, has said this is his last film, the new Logan movie that comes out later on this year, and which, by the way, looks amazing. But on top of that, Daniel Craig, who plays James Bond, has said that he doesn't necessarily want to play the role. Spectre and Skyfall took a lot out of him, so on and so forth. So that's where this question kind of goes from. And Tom Hardy continuously comes up for these two roles. So if we're talking Tom Hardy, which I don't think he'll play either, but in the universe that Tom Hardy is either James Bond or as Wolverine, I have to go with James Bond. So I'm not a huge James Bond fan. I like Daniel Craig in Casino Royale and in Skyfall. I didn't necessarily like Quantum of Solace, and I actually haven't seen Spectre yet, so For Tom Hardy to come in and play James Bond would pique my interest completely to begin with. But I also think he brings a little bit of that Daniel Craig toughness, or that edge that guys like Sean Connery, Pierce Brosnan, or Roger Moore didn't necessarily bring, even though they were great. And Daniel Craig definitely did bring a different look, a different edge to James Bond, but I definitely think Tom Hardy could take that to a new level. And, when it comes to the Wolverine part, that's a tougher casting call because it would be so fresh with Hugh Jackman. He's been the only Wolverine. Now, I'm not one of these guys that believes that it's sacred that nobody else could play the role. Anybody could play Wolverine if they're good enough. But for it to be so soon, I think you want to put that character to rest. And I don't necessarily even think this is his last movie. I think he will end up doing an appearance in Deadpool 2, or maybe even in Deadpool 3, the movie being a Wolverine and Deadpool type of thing. But that's a very interesting idea, Tom Hardy as James Bond or as Wolverine. I want to know what you guys think. Let us know in the comments. All right, here's one from @FeltUnchained. Since Disney's live-action remakes are so successful, could DreamWorks make a live-action remake of Shrek? So Disney's live-action remakes have been the Alice in Wonderland movies. They've been the Cinderella, Maleficent, and now the Beauty and the Beast that's going to come out. They've talked about Aladdin and The Lion King all being in pre-production. Oh, and obviously The Jungle Book in 2016 earlier. 2016 was phenomenal. So yeah, they've had some great success. I don't know if Shrek has the same type of nostalgia that a movie like Beauty and the Beast is going to bring in later on this year. I personally love Shrek. I know a lot of people are iffy on it. And I think that has to do a lot with more of the sequels that came out later, and just time wasn't the the best were Shrek. But those first two ones, I actually really got a kick out of them, and I grew up with Shrek 2. I used to watch it every night with my brothers. We didn't have cable one summer, and we all slept in the same room in the apartment that we had those years. And yeah, we went to bed every night watching Shrek 2. I would wake up in the morning to the title screen being the pig up, jumping up and down, and obviously the best version of I Need a Hero montage ever. So would it work? I don't know. And the big thing is those voices are also attached to famous faces. It's not like other animated films where the voice acting wasn't like today where famous actors played them, those Disney days. You know, there were some like John Smith with Mel Gibson and whatnot, but Shrek is Mike Myers. Donkey is Eddie Murphy. Fiona is Cameron Diaz. So can you really cast other people in those roles? And then at that point, if you're just putting Donkey and a CGI Donkey in Eddie Murphy's voice and just putting practical makeup on Cameron Diaz and Mike Myers, then why not just make another Shrek animated movie and not have to worry about that? I don't know. That's just my thought. But what would you guys think? Let us know on the comments below. All right. At Dre for Days, which character was most well casted in the MCU, the Marvel Cinematic Universe? I bet you a lot of people think I'm going to go with Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Iron Man. But personally, I think it's Chris Evans as Captain America. Think about how lame of a character Captain America was in 2000. Let's just say. So 2008 is when the first Iron Man came out, which obviously he wasn't even the biggest superhero back then. We live in this world now where the Avengers, Iron Man, Thor, Captain America are all these huge superheroes on the same level as Batman and Superman and Spider-Man, but it wasn't always the case. And especially a character like Captain America. Remember all that pressure that was put on this production because of the stereotypical, are you really going to make that type of stereotype of a superhero, and is he gonna have the bell bottoms and whatnot? And Chris Evans got the spirit of what Captain Rogers is, of the kind of man, the character that Captain America is, and he physically is imposing, but there's also a sense of innocence that he's able to portray as Captain America. So I think he's been the character that's glued this whole thing together. And again, you're going to see Robert Downey Jr. in Spider-Man Homecoming, and he's going to have the funny one-liners. But strictly on movies as well, Captain America the First Avenger, Captain America Winter Soldier, and Captain America Civil War is a phenomenal trilogy. It's going to be an underrated trilogy because of the magnitude of how big the movies were, but it's a great trilogy. And it was led on the back and shoulders of Chris Evans and the Russo brothers, who found the way to make that character so relatable, and finding a way to bring it into modern times. So yeah, I think Chris Evans, and that's not to say that Chris Hemsworth or Chris Pratt, all the Chris's have done great. Tom Hiddleston as Loki, Mark Ruffalo as Hulk, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye, Paul Bentley as the Vision. They've knocked it out of the ballpark countless times. And now you have guys like Tom Holland playing Spider-Man. You have Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther. I could go on and on of how amazing casting they've done in the Marvel Universe. You have Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange. They've knocked it out of the park. We could do a whole show about this, but I think the best casting decision made and that has paid off the most has been Chris Evans as Captain America. Okay, here's a fun one. Rebel the Rebel asks, what sequels are better than the originals? So the easiest answer is Godfather 2 to Godfather. Although Godfather, the first Godfather is one of the greatest movies ever, and Godfather 2 always changes between the top three of my favorite movies. The Dark Knight, I think, is head and shoulders better than Batman Begins, even though I think Batman Begins is such an underrated superhero film, just an underrated film in general. The Christopher Nolan trilogy, one of my favorite trilogies in general, but The Dark Knight as a sequel. Toy Story 2. Toy Story trilogy, again, talking about trilogies, one of the best trilogies in film, but Toy Story 2, just building on that lore, that big universe that they created in Toy Story, the original. So Toy Story 2, another one of my favorite sequels that is better than the original. We're going to take one last one. This one's from Cyan Hughes Neffin. Sorry if I butchered you, bro. Pierce Brosnan as Cable and Deadpool 2. So yeah, if you haven't heard, all over the internet, there's a picture of Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, and Pierce Brosnan. You know, it's come full circle talking about James Bond and Wolverine earlier on the questions. But anyway, I think that's low-key an amazing call. I personally would have loved to see Stephen Lang from Don't Breathe and Avatar to have played the role. I think he physically just demands your respect and attention if he was playing that type of role, as you saw him as that general in Avatar and as the blind man in Don't Breathe. He's so dynamic. But low-key, Pierce Brosnan's comedy chops and his charm might make a nice fit in a Deadpool movie. That's interesting. And Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds are social media savvy, so they're not going to be doing things like this unless they have something up their sleeve. So that's a very interesting scenario. But that'll do it for us, guys. I know this was short, but I actually really enjoyed it. I know it was a lot of superhero movie questions, but I just wanted to give you guys a taste of what exactly this is going to be. Now, I did this just scrounging through the internet, going through different shows, different Twitter hashtags, different Instagram hashtags that of shows that I watch. And I just wanted to start there and get my footing to see how this went. And as we keep this going, as we go on with this, we want you to be a part of it. So we want you guys to tweet us your sports questions, your video game questions, your Netflix questions, your movie questions, your behind the scenes questions. We want you guys to be involved. We want this show to be based around our communication, just us talking one-on-one and enjoying having some good conversation and just communicating with each other. So please, guys, follow me on Twitter at mmercado2333. I'm on Instagram /MikeMercado2333. Like us on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Subscribe to us and comment on us at YouTube /MikeMercado2333. Do us a huge favor. We're on Patreon. We have 2 different tiers. If you are a patron, you get all of our interviews with celebrities and UFC champions ad-free before anybody else on social media and the radio airwaves. So please go to patreon.com /Mercado Airwaves to check out that tier. We also offer a sponsorship tier for anybody with a small business, a company, whatever the case may be. We will advertise your business before and after each one of our interviews with our celebrity and UFC guests. So please, friends, check that out. And also check out the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com. Thank you, guys. This was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed. Take care of each other, and we will see you next time.
Hey, friends. Mike here from Outreach Radio Chicago and Mercado Airwaves. I am so excited to let you in on a new service we are providing. If you or someone you know has an upstart or established business and company and would like to do some marketing on various platforms, you can do that right now by becoming an official sponsor and power all our interviews with athletes and celebrities. We assure quality audio in the beginning and ending of our interviews that will spotlight your amazing business and help bring in as much traffic as possible to all your outlets. From award-winning celebrities, Sundance Film darling director David Farrier joins us.
Appreciate you having me on the show.
To world champion athletes, UFC bantamweight champion Dominic Cruz. Dominic, how you doing, buddy?
I'm great. How are you, Mike?
We promise you the absolute best from the entire staff of Mercado Airwaves. For more information, visit us on patreon.com /Mercado Airwaves. Follow us on Twitter at mmercado2333. Subscribe to us on youtube.com /MikeMercado2333. Like the radio show page on Facebook at Outreach Radio Chicago. Follow us on Instagram, MikeMercado2333. And visit the website, mercadoairwaves.wordpress.com. Thank you for listening and all the support.